Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by age 35? Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. It's easier to keep the hair you have than replace the hair you've lost. Is that hairline slowly starting to move backwards? Bald spots yet? Why don't you do something about it first? You need to visit forhims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other issues for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat your hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. No snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Just prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to forhims.com. Answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review and give you a prescription, and the products are shipped directly to your door. Order now, and our listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today right now while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to forhims.com/wingo. That's forhims.com/wingo. forhims.com/wingo. Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golic look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
This is the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast.
Good Wednesday. Welcome into Golic and Wingo. Glad you're with us on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. If you're watching us on ESPN News, let me just say the struggle is real. Let me explain what's going on. Mike Golic is back from 2 days off, trying to get things going, and his microphone has broken 40 seconds into the show.
Who's using this thing? What's going on?
Hi, buddy.
You doing okay
What's up?
over there?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I need an Allen wrench. I said it to everybody before, and they looked at me like, Golic coming back from vacation saying he needs an Allen wrench. You think I'm making it up? No, I need an Allen wrench.
We can say with great certainty you need something.
I need an Allen wrench.
I think everyone was just distracted by the super deep V that our audience on ESPN News is going to see right now in your shirt. It's a bit revealing, and I think it's honestly taking away from the seriousness of your situation, which... Listen, you're just going to have to be a pro and ride through this right now. We're too far gone.
I can do it.
Would you like to switch to the
other
mic?
You know what? I'm going to man up here.
Okay.
All right. I can handle it.
Okay.
I only have, 20 minutes?
Yeah, you're good. I think we should be all right.
Give me an Allen wrench.
I don't think, we can't run down to a store and get an Allen wrench. I don't think the Allen wrench store is open at 6:01.
Here's the issue. Devin went to get the Allen wrench.
Oh, boy.
See you in 4 hours.
Bubble Boy, this is the greatest thing in the world. I'll be right back with that. I'm free!
Exactly.
That's exactly what's happening.
He's out getting a smoke and a pancake saying, yeah, they need an Allen wrench.
I'll give you an Allen wrench.
So anyway, we're glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. I had a ball, obviously.
You were down at the Darius Rucker Monday after the Masters
Myrtle
Golf
Beach,
Tournament.
Darius and Hootie the Blowfish, all those guys were fantastic. Mike, you were there last year. It's kind of a great crew there. The golf, unfortunately, rained out. We only got a few holes in. It is a shame because it's a lot of fun golf and a lot of great people there. But I got to say, the music that goes on there and the concert is just incredible. Phil Bailey from Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Nice.
Unbelievable was there. Nate Morris from Boys to Men there as well. It was just an incredible array of music that went on. Javier Clone, who lives right by the first winner of The Voice, was there
proud
as well.
West Hartford, Connecticut native.
I mean, his voice could be the best of all. Just incredible.
But what I need to know, and this is the most important one, was did John Daly reprise his performance
Daly was not
from
there
last year? So John Daly was the most impressive person I saw play music at last year's Monday after the Masters. I forgot how musically inclined and just generally how talented he is because we're used to just seeing him drink and smoke on the golf course. I turned my back for a minute last year, and all of a sudden I look back on the stage, and he's out there with the guys playing Running with the Devil.
Running with the Devil, playing guitar.
Belting it out incredibly in flip-flops after smoking and ashing his cigarette into a Coors Light can on the side of the stage.
I mean, he was all he could be.
Yeah.
Is what he was. So it was listen, and obviously Darius and Hootie, all the guys, Hootie and the Blowfish, they were fantastic. All those guys are great. It's a great tournament every year. It really, really enjoyed. Unfortunately, just the golf was kind of by the wayside. Yeah.
By the way, I played more golf yesterday than you played at the 2 days at Myrtle.
I did play Sunday. I played a few holes.
Okay,
but it was only windy and cold there. It hadn't rained yet.
The rain hadn't come yet. By the way, I'm fascinated by watching you do this as you're going to go through the morning and try and hold the microphone through the entire show. It's a skill. Not everybody can do it. I want you to know that. Yeah. So let's get started.
It's time for
Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not,
it's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
All right. We start off the top with one game to rule them all. The Nuggets and Timberwolves will play for the final spot in the NBA playoffs tonight. This is the third time under the current playoff format since 1983-84 that the winning team of a game on the final day of the regular season will make the playoffs and the losing team, well, won't. And the first since 1997.
See, I thought that in 97 it was the Bullets against the Cavs, and then back in 95 it was the Nuggets against the Kings. I love this because how many times in an 82-game schedule or in baseball, for hockey and basketball, and in baseball 162, we're like, oh, we don't care, who cares about game 37 or game 22? Well, you know what? When it comes down to the last game of the regular season or in baseball, when you got to play that one extra game or like tonight, when it's all riding on it, you care about those games. That's why you play those games. That's why there's meaning behind those games, and it all catches up now.
Wait, what did you just say? There's meaning.
There's meaning behind those games.
You play to win the game.
I mean, and I get. I think there was a lot less rest this year because extending the season to the back-to-back road games and things like that they took away and such. But by the way, only 5 of the 16 seeds are locked right now. The 1 and 2 in both conferences, and the 5 in the East with the Pacers, and that's it. So we got play-in to get into the playoffs and then a lot of play for seeding tonight.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what the rest days looked like because I think we also had a lot of guys miss more days because of injury, and you wonder how much of that ended up becoming built-in rest using Knicks to kind of disguise those things. But certainly from the league standpoint, they got what they wanted, which is that being less of a headline. And they got, to your point, a lot of uncertainty going right up to the end of the regular season here. With the amount we have in play, this is, I think, the most interest that we've had around the last week of the season. And I don't remember how long. And most of it stems from the fact that the top teams have already been jumbled. We've already seen Golden State and Cleveland already knocked down further than we're used to. And so it seems more volatile, and we get more of that now.
Well, we'll get to the Golden State situation in a minute, but yeah, you could say they've been knocked down. They certainly were last night. We'll get to that in a minute.
Off the top.
Well, we continue with the 76ers. Again, they just can't lose.
They're streaking!
Franchise record 15th straight win on Tuesday, 121-113 over Atlanta. Now, if the 76ers beat the Bucks tonight, they'll have the longest winning streak entering the playoffs in NBA history.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the longest streak to end the regular season. In 1949, the Royals.
Sure.
How about that? And before that, it was 14 games, 72, 73, it was the Bucks. So, listen, they're playing without Joel Embiid. I mean,
that's the most impressive thing about this.
That game, going back to Friday night, that game with the 76ers and the Cavaliers was one of the great games that was played this year, and how well they are playing. It's just really, and now that the people think that they could, analysts think that they could, challenge in the East and be the rep out of the East once you get Joel Embiid back. I don't buy that yet, but talk about a team on the come. They absolutely, positively are.
All the success without Joel Embiid has to make you wonder if he's bad for women's basketball. Really have to ask the hard-hitting questions.
That was a long way to go.
Oh yeah, you like that?
That was a long way to go.
It works. It's a meta joke. You guys, it's not for you guys.
No,
it's for a more sophisticated
we got
audience.
It completely. The question was, did it?
No,
I'm not really sure.
It did. Don't worry about it. That's not for you to decide. Anyway, when you look at this team, it's interesting, and this is going to be in reference to another team that we'll talk about in the Houston Rockets, but how you frame expectation now for this team, because they're starting to grow, but ultimately, no matter how it ends in the playoffs for this Philadelphia team, this season is an overwhelming success.
They won 10 games last year. Of course it is.
An overwhelming success for a team that we still don't ultimately believe is destined to win a championship this year. So just keep that in mind, the vantage point that we look at this from when we talk about a team like the 76ers versus a team like the Houston Rockets, whose head coach had some interesting comments.
We will get to that a little bit later as well, but you're absolutely right. Context is everything. I've been saying that ever since this show began, and all you guys are yelling at me, black and white, black and white. No, nuance matters.
Off the top.
Then there's the Warriors, as we were alluding to. They got smoked. Lost their regular season finale by 40 points in Utah. The second time this season that Golden State has lost to the Jazz by at least 30. And according to the Elias Sports Bureau, the Jazz are the third team in NBA history to have multiple 30-point wins over the defending champs. So when you look at this game, does it say more about Utah or more about Golden State?
Well, I think we should be impressed with what Utah is doing. I mean, Utah is the land of you kind of disappear. We used to say that about Seattle, until the Seahawks started playing extremely well and getting to the Super Bowl. It was like you go out to the great Northwest to kind of disappear, and Utah was kind of thought of as well if you kind of lose any kind of notoriety from out there. But boy, the way this is ending right now, they're battling Portland for the 3 slot. Really incredible what they're doing. So whether you want to notice them or not, they're there, and they're playing extremely well right now. Golden State, I'm not going to lie, I'm still not worried about. We don't know they're locked into the 2. We don't know who the 7's going to be because of all the games that are still to be played in the last night tonight of the regular season. But in all honesty, I'm not worried about them pulling it together.
What a gift Donovan Mitchell has been to this team.
I agree.
And I understand you still got the defensive player of the year on this team. You've still got a number of guys, but to lose Gordon Hayward, to lose the guy that was the star in the face of that team this offseason in free agency to the Celtics, and to not be sure, because in markets like Utah, to your point, and this was always my worry for Oklahoma City, this is the worry in Cleveland if LeBron leaves again. These smaller markets, these more remote markets are really dependent on you hitting the lottery in some of these, and they seem to have hit it in Donovan Mitchell.
And think about it. He was the true actual rookie of the year. We'll get into that.
Oh, there's a lot to get into there, partner.
And to your point, you're right. Rudy Gobert is going to be the defensive player of the year. I mean, they're playing extremely well out there.
And again, Donovan Mitchell is leading a 45-plus win team in scoring in his rookie year. That's very impressive, right?
Yep.
The last 4 guys to do that, David Robinson, Larry Bird, Kareem, and Wilt. It's a good list. It's a good list.
Good list to be on.
Good list to be on.
Off the top.
Baseball now. Mookie Betts went 4 for 4 with 5 runs and 4 RBI, courtesy of a grand slam, as the Red Sox just destroyed the Yankees 14-1 in the team's first meeting of the season. Betts joins Ken Griffey Jr. as the only player since RBI became an official stat in 1920. 1920 to have 5 runs, 4 hits, and 4 RBI in a game against the Yankees.
I mean, what a way to start your 19 games, huh? Yeah. It's absolutely destroy. I mean, and you sit there and look at what Boston's doing, sitting at 9-1. You look at the Mets. The Mets are they're
7-1.
No, they're 9-1 as well.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, you look at how well these first year managers are doing. It's really impressive coming out of the gate, and then again, especially for the Red Sox against the Yankees. Now, Judge went 3 for 4 in the game. Stanton went 2 for 4 in the game. The Judge had a home run, the only run of the game. But man, give it up for Boston and what they're doing right now.
Yeah, for New York, you get to slowly climb back into the hit column for those guys that we had really started to worry about. But I think better yet for them is the focus should now rightly shift to Boston, who is leading that division, who has one of the best players in baseball in Mookie Betts right now, who I think is leading in batting average at this point, went absolutely berserk last night, and is the example of how much different baseball is than football, how usually you pull back. It's effort everywhere. And in baseball, the tendency is to take more pitches, do all that. Alex Cora comes out, tells Mookie Betts, let's attack the beginning of these at-bats a little more, and you saw the results play out last night. So it has to be great for a new manager, a first-time manager, to see these kind of results
and
early.
It's working. He's leading the league at hitting .432. They have 3 players total hitting over .350 right now, so they're coming out of the gate strong.
And again, they're doing it without Xander Bogaerts, who's going to be gone for a couple of weeks. I just love the way this season has started for Boston. Game 1, I think that game was in Tampa. They had a 4-run lead and blew it. They didn't do that once in 2017. They do that to start 2018, and then, of course, they haven't lost since. And Chris Sale absolutely being everything you would want him to be last night, 6 innings. Only the 1 run allowed. He's doing great. The Yankees continue to struggle to try to find a way to put it all together. But the Red Sox are off to an unbelievable start.
Off the top.
Speaking of starts, the puck drops tonight on the Stanley Cup playoffs with the Pens and Golden Knights among the 6 teams in action. Can't say enough about what Vegas has done in their premier first year in the league. The Penguins are looking to become the first team to win the Stanley Cup in 3 straight seasons since the Islanders took it in 4 straight from 1980 to 1983.
And the Vegas Golden Knights weren't even on the ice for those 2 Penguins titles. No expansion team has reached the Stanley Cup final since 1968, when the entire West Division was compromised of expansion teams. So that's a little while. They've been fantastic. And again, I'll say, because we've always wondered what was it going to be like in Vegas. First, again, always happy there's pro sports now in Vegas, but how would 41 home games work? You know, how would that work? How would the consistency work there of fans and kind of holding in the Golden Knights saying this is our own team right now? I believe they ended up 4th in the league in attendance. So I think that showed pretty well with the Raiders coming in a couple of years there. But what they've done has been nothing short of incredible. Now let's see what kind of run they can make in the playoffs.
Great proof of concept. Again, another team that's going to be able to look at this season fondly as something to build off of now going forward. But we talked yesterday a lot about the Penguins and now their quest to do something that is so rare in all of sports, but especially in a sport that is as difficult to win a championship in as professional hockey.
Look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nothing is harder than winning the Stanley Cup. I mean, NFL is a very physical sport. There's no question about it, but you get 6 or 7 days in between games. You watch a team trying to win a Stanley Cup. It's like a triage unit after every game.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
I mean, you got guys that are pretty big, pretty strong, pretty fast, on blades of steel, skating around on ice, just getting whacked with sticks in the face. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing, and we'll see what happens.
And the beards get really long.
The beards get long and smelly. The stink of the rink is a real thing.
Unless you're Sidney Crosby, and then it's sort of
there you go.
Patchy and it's awful, and you get a weird mustache.
But you do what you have to do.
First time since 1945?
Yeah.
No New York or Chicago basketball or hockey team
Unbelievable,
in
right?
the playoffs.
That is a big drought. By the way, okay, again, if you weren't with us at the top of the show, A, where were you? B, Golic is back from 2 days off, and he is dealing with microphone failure.
Yes, I am. I'm actually holding the microphone together right now. If I were to let go of this microphone, it would fall off. I need an Allen wrench.
And ladies and gentlemen, now walking in,
Devin!
Bubble Boy, Devin is here.
You have a whole bag. I need one Allen wrench. You haven't. Get over here.
So if those not watching on ESPN News, Devin is walked in, I guess, with carry-on luggage and 4,000 pieces of equipment. And he's dropping them now on the set.
Got about every size Allen wrench
let me guess, it doesn't fit.
Allen wrench doesn't fit.
Is that not the one? All right, we got.
It's an idiot.
Do we have a drill bit?
Wow! Oh wow! This is a pretty extensive. Where do we get this toolkit?
Do we
from?
have a flux capacitor?
Devin, is this yours?
It's all ball bearings these days, kids.
It is impressive. I saw them going to work on Devin's microphone back there.
Devin gave me an Allen wrench.
And it's the
I
wrong
saw them
size Allen
practicing in there, like on the mics in there, and I said, "Give me an Allen wrench."
Oh, there it is. There it is. We've completely lost all hope.
He handed it to me. He said, "This is the one," and it's 3 sizes too big.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an idiot. You are truly an idiot.
Well, to be fair, it's not like we can just find a million different Allen wrenches at 6:16 in the morning.
There's a ton of them.
We have
here.
all of them right here. We have every size Allen wrench you could ask for right now.
We have all of them.
Well, hold on. It seems to me we have everyone except the one we need.
Well, no, he set down the whole set and handed me the one and was sure that this was the one.
It's not even closely remotely the one.
Devin, I watched you guys do it in there.
The thing is, we weren't exactly sure which piece needed. There's a lot of different parts on here that could be tightened.
This is part of our expansive show budget, by the way, that we cannot even find the right Allen. Do we have the right Allen wrench now? Golic is playing around with the Allen wrenches.
Can I just say, by the way?
Yeah. It's radio. You can say.
This feels like sabotage. This feels like foul play. This feels like someone came in here and tampered. Now, I'm not talking about you, Devin. I'm saying someone from outside this show, because I trust the people in this room.
Do you?
But someone from outside this show.
No.
Oh, really?
Well, it was that.
Really?
Well, you just said "oh really" to something that no one heard. So what was the "oh really"?
No, it's an original thought in my mind that I haven't decided to share with you guys yet.
It's not an original thought. Someone said something.
No one said anything in my ear.
The control room. And
but Kevin Winter did call the hotline.
You thought it was on the air, and you just said "oh really" as if everybody heard what you heard.
No, I can distinguish what's on the air and what's not. So I was but no one was talking. No one was talking to me anyway. It was an original thought as I try and sit here and filibuster for a guy poorly using tools on the set.
Are we getting closer as he's found the wrench? It looks like there's some torque and some tension, because that's what we need. We need that thing back together. So Golic is really doing a wonderful job trying to get that Allen wrench. It looks like we've got it going.
It was Jordan Rogers.
No, I just like to throw this out. When he's doing his radio show here from Bristol, Stephen A comes in here at times. So can we say that Stephen A is a suspect in this?
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell hell no.
All right, we've eliminated Stephen A.
It's broken in half, but it's staying on right now.
It's working?
It's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Working is a relative term.
Yeah.
For the
Very
moment, let me
relevant,
put it this way. When we say it's working, it's not completely falling apart.
No, it is not completely falling apart. I'll fix it in the break.
All right, Devin, you would like to say something?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I'm sweating through my V-neck.
Yeah, I was about to say, the V-neck is also a very curious choice. I mean, we saw how poorly that went with Damian Woody, our fellow, on another show. So let's eliminate the V-necks from the selections.
Yeah, I may have to.
Man, that was great TV, but bad radio.
I'm not sure that any of this is good for anybody as we continue. Hey, let's sound off, shall we, on this Rookie of the Year debate in the NBA. It's brought to you by ADT. Considering home security? Well, consider this. For 140 years, ADT has helped stop more crime than any other home security company. Visit ADT.com to learn more. Okay, so what we have is a full-blown sort of pseudo-shade battle between Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons.
Right.
Ben Simmons said the other day, I 100% should win the NBA Rookie of the Year. Is there anybody else that should be considered? And he said no. Then Donovan Mitchell, who is actually more technically a Rookie of the Year than Ben Simmons, who, of course, it's not his rookie year. He just didn't play that first year, showed up at the arena last night with a hoodie that said rookie, and the definition of it, someone who's playing in their first year in the league. And after his big game and the big win over Golden State, he was asked about said hoodie.
Just having fun with it. After yesterday, I decided to have a little fun. Adidas, helped me out with that. But, just letting people know the definition, and that's all it is.
So that was what he had to say after the game. Ha, 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 joke, 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 laugh, laugh, laugh. So then Ben Simmons was asked about said hoodie from Donovan Mitchell, and this was his response.
What was the definition?
An athlete that plays in his first year and plays being the key word.
I think if his argument is that I'm not a rookie, if that's the only argument he has, I'm in pretty good shape now. So, there's a rule in the NBA for a reason. I'm not going to wear a sweatshirt tomorrow, though.
So are we Team Mitchell or Team Simmons?
Well, here's the thing. Under the rules, Ben Simmons is a rookie, and I think Ben Simmons will be the Rookie of the Year. Now, Donovan Mitchell's had, averaging, 20, leading them in scoring, 20 and 4-4, where Ben Simmons is 16-8-8. I think Simmons is going to win it. By definition, he's a rookie. I think it's, now, my personal opinion, I think it's ridiculous that he's considered a rookie. I think it's a joke. I mean, even though you don't play, you're with a team. You're with a professional team the entire year you're not playing. You're getting professional coaching. You are in the pros for that year, even though you're not playing, so that next year you're considered a playing rookie by league standards. Joel Embiid was 2 seasons, right, Brett? 2 seasons, and then he came back, and he was a rookie. That's a joke. That makes zero sense to me at all. You are in the pros. You are getting paid pro dollars. You are sitting on a pro bench. You are going through all the professional NBA basketball things. So I think it's a ridiculous rule, but it's a rule. So he's allowed to win Rookie of the Year, and I think Ben Simmons will win Rookie of the Year.
Do you think it's as ridiculous in college that you can make the freshman All-American team as a redshirt freshman?
As a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
Look at you, Junior.
I think you'd have to, right? I think you would have to.
I think for consistency's sake now, I would look at that in both instances, because at least as a redshirt freshman, you can argue that you were there and doing all those things healthy. You were a healthy scratch. Ben Simmons had, a broken foot last year?
He did have a broken foot.
So it wasn't like he was on the court getting a lot of this in. He was rehabbing. He wasn't benefiting in all of the ways that we would normally associate with this. So I don't think it's quite as simple as you were around getting all of this great benefit from this situation, just sitting there not playing as a rookie.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you one question. When you sat in the meeting room for the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New Orleans Saints, did you learn more about professional football than sitting in the meeting room at Notre Dame?
Oh, you absolutely learned
you do.
A lot.
So I mean, he whether he played or not, he was in the meetings. He was at the court. Whether he wasn't playing or not, he was watching professional basketball, being coached by professionals. I just don't see it. Again, I'm yelling about something that makes no sense because the rule's a rule.
Well, welcome to sports.
I just don't agree that if you're out of your rookie year, you should still be considered a rookie.
At the end of the day, even if you're not playing, you're learning how to deal with all the stuff that will help affect your play because you're not worried about all that other stuff going forward. And there's a really good analogy that Ben Simmons actually mentioned in this, and we'll get to that.
Golic
and Wingo.
and Wingo.
Trey Wingo and Mike Golic Sr. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You have a quizzical look on your
surprised
face.
Ryan Hollins? I mean, so strong for Donovan Mitchell over Ben Simmons.
Most importantly, I'm surprised the chair is still there because his takes were so incendiary. I thought the chair was going to burst into flames.
Most people are, on the Ben Simmons train, and
he is all in on the Donovan Mitchell wagon.
He said he could get with a Rookie of the Year, but not Ben Simmons winning over Donovan Mitchell. Pretty interesting, and we have people chiming in that, Ben Simmons has all the stats. Ben Simmons averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 54% from the field. Unfortunately, 56% from the free throw line.
Right.
Donovan Mitchell, 20 points a game, basically 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 44% from the field, 34% from threes. Simmons doesn't shoot threes.
Right.
And 81% from the free throw line. A lot of people are just kind of saying Ben Simmons. Listen, watching, he does pass that eye test of wow.
No question.
6'10", 6'9", 6 whatever he is, bringing up the ball, all the movement, all the passing, all the handle he has for his size.
He's a generational player.
He has that wow factor. But Ryan brought up great thoughts of Utah. What did you think Utah was going to be this year? Now, Rudy Gobert, they're going to have the Defensive Player of the Year. At least he's the favorite for that. But you lose Gordon Hayward, you wonder what they're going to do. You don't know what Donovan Mitchell's going to do when he gets there. And he has a monster year for a team. If they win tonight, it's going to be the 3rd seed in the West. So.
I think that's the most compelling argument for Donovan Mitchell is that he has got them to the 3 seed in the West. I think we can all can concede that being the 3 seed in the West, considering the 2 teams in front of you, is a little more difficult than being the 3 seed in the East, or substantially more difficult, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't care about anything as much as he cares about Donovan Mitchell winning the Rookie of the Year award. But the other thing that I think is very interesting, he leads that team in scoring. Donovan Mitchell does.
Yep.
For a team that has at least 45 wins. The only other people as rookies to do that, again, David Robinson, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Pretty good list.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
So you can't just dismiss that. So that's a very good thing. You know what else is very, very good?
What's that?
It's the game show segment that's captivating a nation.
The origin is Latin. It has been sort of corrupted over time.
Like this show.
Making everyone that hears it smarter.
In the 1800s, English authors were likely to partake in opium den activities.
Now, with your host, researcher Brett.
Take a guess where that came from. Brett's got your answer.
It's Brettomology.
Here are the categories. Words and their meanings. That's straightforward.
And that is there is only one category, words and their meanings. So here's what we learned last week in Brettomology. Last week we learned about the definition of catching lightning in a bottle, dressed to the nines, 3 sheets to the wind, we've all been there, and taken with a grain of salt.
People use this knowledge at the water cooler.
Yes,
to win bets, win drinks, win money, just sound smart at the office, whatever. Use it. Use us.
Yes, we are here for you.
Yes,
we are
we
a vehicle for you to appear smarter in front of your friends. By the way, we've done this for 2 weeks. The official Brettomology stats. I am 5 for 8.
Right.
You are 4 for 8 after taking the golden sombrero.
I went 4-0 and then 0-4.
It's important to be consistent.
Yes,
Mike.
it is.
And we're just doing this all now to clear the stage for Brettomology, brought to you by Discover Card. He's got his own sponsored segment. Who will match all the cash back new card members earn at the end of their first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply. And without further ado, the star of the show, Brettomology, researcher Brett. All right, Brett, what do you got?
We actually have a couple new sound effects this week, by the way.
Excellent. We went into our expansive budget to fix the mic and get new sound effects.
To make it clearer when who is right and who is wrong. So, Cliff, can you give us the sound for when Golic is right?
Yes!
Gotta be quicker, Cliff.
And when Trey is right.
Who's the smart guy now?
Okay.
We also have the wrongs on that, too, but you'll probably hear them eventually.
Right,
okay. Thank you very much. Shade from Brett right away.
There you go.
So our first phrase, rule of thumb.
Good one.
Mm-hmm.
Rule of thumb. The possible origins. Is it from the Puritan author James Durham, who wrote in 1685 that foolish builders build by guess and rule of thumb? Or they like my or. In a famous ruling in English law in 1782, Judge Sir Francis Buller ruled that a man could beat his wife if the stick he used was no thicker than his thumb.
I hope it's not 2.
Well, I was about to say, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I'm going with 1 because I don't want the other one to be right.
I don't want it to be 2, but here's the other thing.
He wouldn't have made that up.
I don't think Brett's going to make that up. That's not one you're going to make up. As horrific as it sounds, I think 2 is going to be right.
I'm going with 1.
Oh, no! I don't know what that means. I forgot which one
that was.
Golic
being wrong.
Yeah!
Oh, I'm wrong.
Yeah!
You made
Number
that
1
up?
is correct. From Puritan off.
You know what?
Yay!
I'm glad you did, though. I'll take being wrong on that. I just didn't think you could make that up.
Well, here's where he lost me.
Smokes.
He said Judge Bueller. And all I could think was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm like, no way. Was there an actual Judge Bueller, or did you totally make that up?
Allegedly, there was.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
That's bizarre.
Okay.
Right. Phrase number 2.
1-0.
Fly by the seat of your pants, which we
sort
do
of
every day
show.
here.
Yes.
Is it? From 1938, when a pilot, Douglas Corrigan, had applied to the Bureau of Air Commerce for a transatlantic flight, was rejected, and instead of flying from Brooklyn to California, which was what he was authorized to do, he flew across the Atlantic anyway, 28 hours to Dublin. They called him in the subsequent article, Wrong Way Corrigan, who flies by the seat of his pants.
That's a really good one.
That is a good one.
Or is it an Army saying from World War I where pilots were told during training that they needed to be able to fly by the seat of their pants if their plane's instruments failed during flight?
Oh, those are 2 really good ones.
They really are.
We have Wrong Way Roy Regals, who went the wrong way in the Rose Bowl. So I think I want to go Wrong Way Roy Corrigan. I'm going 1.
I'm going 2.
1. Give me 2.
Yay!
I don't know what that means.
Goes right again?
Number 2 is correct. It's an Army saying.
So you were right.
I was right.
Golic was right.
We are more mixed up on your things, Cliff. I have no clue.
Cliff's killing us.
No clue.
Cliff is killing the show.
You really are, Cliff.
And you've made the show so often. Now you're killing the show. All right,
so you were right. Just accept your answer and move on.
Number 2 is correct. Okay.
So you're 6. You're 5 for 10. I'm 6 for 10 now.
All right. Third phrase. Red herring. Is it? From the 17th and 18th centuries in England, when the heavily cured herring, which had a reddish color, was frequently served in prisons because it was cheap, when a criminal escaped, they would drag herring across their trail to make bloodhounds lose their scent. Or is it from English journalist William Cobbett, who wrote a story in 1807 about a boy who had used a red herring to trick hounds who were chasing a hare, and used it as a metaphor for how the press was misled about the supposed defeat of Napoleon and ignored domestic matters in the meantime, calling it, quote, a political red herring.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. I think both of those things are true, but I think you got to the second one because of the origin of the first one. So I'm going 1. I'm going 1.
I'm going 2.
2 is correct.
Yes! And I figured out that's the best way to do it. Brett, just tell us who's right, okay? Yeah. Cliff, you stink.
Yeah. All right, so we're tied. We're 6 for 11.
All right.
We are tied right now.
Woo!
So this is huge.
Okay, your final phrase of the day is Bob's your uncle. And
that's a
need
British thing.
I'm going to need a little help from Austin Powers on this one.
Okay.
The guard, drawn by my cries of pain, comes to investigate. Meanwhile, you dig a pit, line it with makeshift punji sticks made from sharpened toothbrushes. The guard falls in, Bob's your uncle, we escape. What do you think?
All right.
I'm sure uncle. Okay.
Is it a phrase of political nepotism in the 1880s in England when Prime Minister Lord Salisbury appointed his nephew to various positions for which he was not qualified? Lord Salisbury, to his nephew, would be known as Uncle Bob, and thus Bob's your uncle. Or was it the catchphrase of British comic Tommy Trinder in his regular news segment on British variety show Tonight at the London Palladium, which he starred in from 1955 to 63?
The first thing, can I do a lifeline and ask my son, because it's about nepotism?
Gotta get Junior to the mic.
Well, that would be a good source to go to. Read those again.
So we have political nepotism from Prime Minister Lord Robert Salisbury.
Yeah.
Or the British comic on the sort of Saturday Night Live facsimile of England.
You want to go first?
I'm going to go 1.
You know, I should go 2 to break the tie.
But you're going to agree with me, aren't you?
I think it's 1 as well.
Yay! All right.
So 3 weeks into this thing, we're both 7 for 11.
Sorry, Mike.
We're always open. You guys want to speak more about the nepotism thing?
No.
It could be 7 for 11.
Deeper dead.
4 every week, right?
So someone's keeping score. 7 for 12.
Yeah, it's got to be 7 for 12.
Yeah, you didn't update it because we were both 6 for 11, so we're both 7 for 12. Researcher Brett, just making sure everything is done right.
Wow.
Cliff, what happened with those Sounders, man?
Cliff, you are done.
Yeah,
that's just awful.
That did not go well.
Okay, that's the one thing. I love this segment, but it's the one thing we got to do better at. We got to get the right or wrong, the dings right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about the dings.
All about the dings.
It's always about the dings. I really thought the red herring thing, I thought I was on to something there because one used the other one, but I went too far.
You know what? You overthought it.
Yes, which is, by the way,
you did.
The motto of this show should be never think.
Never think.
So overthinking would be actually thinking. So we're not going to do that anymore. Thinking has now been removed from the equation. We'll do Brettomology again next week because Brett likes to hear himself talk.
Yeah.
Golic.
I tell you what, a great sports night last night, no doubt about it.
And Wingo.
What a day, what a show, what a time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him,
"Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash?"
His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
Let's go, 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 White Sox!
Devin, explain to us again why you decided to become a White Sox fan.
Great farm system.
Because of their farm system.
Yeah.
And you gave us the name of one player. What was that guy's
Eloy
name?
Jimenez.
What position?
He's a pitcher.
Live arm.
Live arm. Yes, Brett, what do you have for us?
Eloy Jimenez is an outfielder.
You didn't even know what position he was.
Chicago is proud of you.
Yeah. Devin's an idiot, and Golic and Wingo is presented by Progressive Insurance. Commercial insurance through Progressive protects your business and your dream. Choose from over 30 coverage options at progressivecommercial.com.
Yeah, Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. So at the start of the year, Devin was a baseball free agent. Didn't have a fan rooting interest in any way, shape, or form. But he decided to go for the White Sox, and he went with the White Sox because of their deep farm system. And this player that he really loved.
Yeah.
So Devin wanted to do that, and the White Sox heard Devin's debacle, by the way, and the little mistake that he made about who this player is and what he was and all these kind of things. So the White Sox, in their infinite wisdom, were listening to the show, Golic and Wingo, and realized, hey, we appreciate Devin's pseudo-fandom, but we want to help him out. And so here's what they did. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Eloy Jimenez.
Hey, David. My name is Eloy Jimenez of Chicago White Sox. If you're going to be a fan of the team, there are a few things you need to know. First, I'm an outfielder. I'm not a pitcher. Second, I have not made to the big leagues yet. But, hey, I'll let you know, Dylan Cease is a pitcher. Not me. Yeah, of course. And I hope I see you soon in the ballpark. Go White Sox.
Okay, so, a couple things.
Go Sox!
Again, Devin's just an idiot.
Confirmed.
But that's very cool of the White Sox to do.
Listen, we appreciate the White Sox. They listened in, and they heard Brett excoriate Devin for not even knowing what the live arm was. He could still have a live arm, Bubble Boy, because you got to throw it in from the outfield. He's just not a pitcher.
I had no idea that was coming, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah, and your White Sox right now at the bottom of the division, sitting at 3-7.
We're coming. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there another player you'd like to throw out there for the White Sox from the farm system?
No, I'm not going to put myself in that position again.
Well,
what a fan.
If nothing else, he's learned.
Wow.
He's learned. And the thing that's nice there is that the White Sox wanted to help. The White Sox wanted to be a part of this. See, we are an all-inclusive program. We wanted to get as many people through the process as we can, and the White Sox are now part of that process.
Yeah, they are. We really do appreciate that, even though they sit at the bottom of the division.
Well, they're a team on the rise.
Yeah, they are.
They're a team on the rise.
Not like the Red Sox and Mets, we said, both starting out 9-1.
That's
Very
an amazing
impressive.
thing, by
really
the way.
is. Both rookie managers.
It is interesting because the Red Sox made the managerial change in the offseason. And I always love this when they make the managerial change whenever you fire somebody. The first thing they do in the press release is list all the great accomplishments that John Farrell has done, and then we fired him anyway.
Yeah.
But early on, looks like they made the right choice. I mean, everything right now is working for Boston. And again, the weird thing about that is the way the season started. First game of the year in Tampa, they blew a 4-run lead, which they did not do once last year. I think the number was 49-0 they were last year in games that they had a 4-run lead or more. So they blow that, and then, of course, they haven't lost a game since.
They haven't lost a game. They have 3 hitters in the top 10 in the league, all 3 over 350, including Mookie Betts hitting .432 right now, leading the league. Pretty impressive what's going on. And then, obviously, with the Mets as well.
Yeah.
We keep talking about that pitching for the Mets, and they went through the injury spate with all the guys. But when healthy, I mean, we talked about the possibility of what that team could become. Health is a key issue. We're only 10 games in, so we have obviously a long way to go.
We do, and Mets fans are so trepidatious.
Oh, yeah. They're waiting for the shoe to
They're just
drop.
like, can this continue? Because it's been ungodly.
Oh, you know what they're like, no, this can't continue.
Yes.
What's going to happen first?
They're walking around with the black cloud over them, just waiting for the bad thing to happen. But right now it hasn't. Mets, Red Sox off to a great start.
Golic and Wingo.
It was all sort of one big giant Jell-O mold. It's very interesting where that went.
Okay, you know what a big golfer I am, right?
Yes, I do.
You enjoy golf, but you don't like golf the way I like
Not
golf.
the way you like it,
And
no.
one of the things that a lot of people like you that aren't into golf like I am, they're like, it's a bunch of guys walking around on grass swinging a stick. How hard can it be? How tough can it be?
Oh, I know
right?
it's tough. I know it's hard. I mean, let's not make me sound like a
you're a jerk. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But the knock is, are they athletes? Are they toughing it out? Are they doing that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, our next guest is living proof that you can tough it out. Tony Finau joins us now, who finished tied for 10th at the Masters. But more importantly, he played through the pain. Tony, welcome into the show. Thanks for being here. How is the ankle right now?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
For those that don't know, Tony Finau on the par 3 contest.
Right on Wednesday.
His first ever Masters, hit a hole-in-one, went running down the fairway to celebrate the hole-in-one, and we all saw what happened. That ankle he rolled his ankle and it popped out. And, Tony, as soon as I saw that happen and your reaction to it where you just stuck it back in, I was like, that had to have happened before, so it's just a loose joint. But that wasn't the case at all, was it?
No, it's crazy. It's never happened before. It's kind of an instinctive thing. I was super excited, and I started running down the fairway and kind of backpedaled into a little slope and, kind of turned my ankle. And I couldn't walk. I got on one knee and looked at it and figured why not try to put it back. I was quite embarrassed, actually. And there's a lot of people around, and I was trying to be as smooth as possible. So kind of put it back into place and got back up and was limping a little bit, but that's kind of what happened. So it was pretty crazy, the emotions of a hole-in-one and then celebrating the hole-in-one with a torn ankle. It was kind of rough.
Yeah, you rode the roller coaster there of emotion, no doubt about it. So, I mean, again, instinctive, and so you popped it back in. So let's start there. And I get getting up, and with a lot of people around, you didn't want to stay down there, and you got up and you were walking out and limping. Did it cross your mind at that point, my God, I just cost myself a chance to play in the Masters? Did that enter your mind at that point?
Yeah, 100%, because I didn't know exactly what I had did, but I knew how it felt, and it didn't feel great. I felt like there was a lot of pain in my Achilles, right on my ankle. Yeah, I couldn't put a lot of weight on it, and that's just not good. When you're playing golf, for a right-hander, it happened to my left foot, my left ankle. That's where you transfer all your weight. And, man, a lot of not so great things were going through my head. A little bit of regret, a little bit of disappointment, and so quite a few things were going through my head. And honestly, I didn't know if I was going to be okay to play.
Well, you were okay to play. Tony Finau with us, who actually finished tied 10th for the Masters, 7 under. So that night, you're in your first Masters. Obviously, this is something as a golfer you dream about your entire life. As you're sitting there Wednesday night into Thursday, what were you thinking about? Hey, how am I going to get through this? Because we've all seen the picture that you put out there on social media. That looked as bad as any football injury I've seen in a long, long time. That thing was a purple disaster. So what did you do to try and get yourself ready for Thursday's round?
Well, the first thing we did was have an X-ray on it, and then Thursday morning we did an MRI. I just wanted to make sure if I was going to be able to play and that there was nothing wrong with my foot, so I didn't want to cause any further damage. Once I was cleared, as far as the X-ray and the MRI, the doctor said, hey, you have a couple torn ligaments, but there's nothing wrong with your foot. You have some bruising in the bones. There's no broken bones. So once that was the case, I changed my mindset from am I going to be able to play to, okay, let's figure this thing out, and kind of a mind over matter thing. We're going to play, we're going to compete, and just do our best and see where the chips fall. So, my team did a great job around me. My coach, my swing coach, Boyd Summerhays, my parents, my wife, my trainer just did a great job of rallying around me and just, giving me the best support that they could, just to, hey, we believe in you. We have faith that you can still do some, something great this week. And man, it ended up working out. It was quite a blessing in disguise.
So from the technical part of golf itself, as you just mentioned, it's your left ankle, your left foot where you transfer the weight. Was your swing different for the entire tournament?
Yeah, 100%. The mechanics of my golf swing changed. I had to put a lot more of my weight on my back foot, and I couldn't transfer my weight aggressively to my left foot. It was very casual. I would say kind of an 80-20%, 80% on my right foot, 20% on my left. So the mechanics of my golf swing changed a lot, and you just have to adapt. Partly my coach really stepped in and did a great job of helping me with that, and I couldn't put a lot of my mind wouldn't let me put a lot of pressure on my left foot just with what happened. So my mechanics of my swing changed quite a bit, and I was still able to perform pretty well, which was a lot of fun.
Talking to Tony Finau, finished again tied for 10th at the Masters at 7 under on the damaged ankle he hurt on Wednesday. Which was the worst day for you pain-wise from Thursday to Sunday?
Yeah, craziest part. The worst pain that I experienced was late Sunday, Sunday of the back nine. I was walking down 10. 10 is quite a steep hill. About a 35-yard. Sorry, one sec.
All good, man. No worries. You fought through tougher stuff than this, so we're not too worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. So number 10 is a dogleg left, but you're walking down about 35, 40 yards. A pretty steep slope, and man, my foot really started to it was really fatigued. I was really tired. My Achilles, my ankle started to hurt, and so I knew I was going to push through. I only had 9 holes to go, but that was the worst pain that I experienced all week, and it was crazy because I finished with 6 birdies out of my last 7 holes on that foot, and man, it was a great way to finish. Anytime you can play well on the back nine of Augusta, it really to me it doesn't really matter the situation, but to finish that way on a Sunday on the back nine of Augusta National, in my first Masters, it was something I was extremely proud of.
As you should be. Tony Finau is with us. Now, I just want to say this in the right way. I have so much respect for you, and I also hate you because I struggle so hard with my game getting to my left side. That's one of the things I make sure I clear through. And the idea that you could say, well, I can't really do that. I'm still going to go shoot a 68 the day after I dislocate my ankle and then follow that up with a 66 on Sunday. It's absolutely unreal. And when I hear you say the worst pain was on the back nine on Sunday, you managed it well because, as you said, you made 6 straight birdies. 12 through 17, and while you made the ace at the par 3 contest, you were there to watch your playing partner Charlie Hoffman put an ace on the 16th hole Redbud on the final day of the Masters. That had to be amazing.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing to witness another hole-in-one on 16. The iconic hole at Augusta National, and then to finish the way I did, 6 birdies. I must have been in the zone. I was walking up 17 after 5 birdies in a row, and my caddy, pointed out to me that, hey, did you notice we just made 5 birdies in a row? So I ended up making the 6th on 17, and I had a chance for 7 in a row on 18, a putt that just slid by. But the emotions, to try and describe the emotions throughout the week, I probably won't do it much justice because of, how low I was, compared to how high I was when I finished on Sunday. So it was an unforgettable week, a very memorable week, and something that I can learn from as far as, mind over matter when it comes to pain. And, those are things I think as, a lot of athletes, a lot of things that we deal with on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, that, we have to overcome a lot of obstacles when it comes to physical pain, and just try to play through it and do our best and just have faith that it'll work out for the best.
I want to ask one on that in a second, but when Charlie Hoffman hit his hole-in-one, you didn't jump up and down in celebration, did you?
I didn't jump up and down. He did, and I told him, "Hey, just calm down. Just calm down." I had something bad happen to me on Wednesday, so I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. So it was a lot of fun to witness, and a lot of fun to play with Charlie. He's a great guy.
So where are you now going forward? Yeah, you played through that. You played incredible. It's a great story, but you know what? The season keeps going, and you're coming out now, have that ankle injury. So where are you now? When are you golfing again? How is the rehab going?
Yeah, so I'm going to take a couple weeks off just to make sure my foot gets back to 100%. It's doing well, though. I'm just doing some mobility workouts on it just to make sure I can function properly. But I'm just going to let it heal and just let it rest for a couple more days just to make sure, the bruising and things kind of go down before I start to put more weight and more pressure on it. It's pretty fast how much pressure I put on it right away. And, I started to feel that pain again, so, late Sunday into yesterday, Monday, I felt quite a bit of pain on it. So I want to let it rest for a little bit. But as far as my schedule goes, I'm going to take this week and next week off, and then I'll return in a few weeks back on the PGA Tour, ready to compete again.
Well, Tony Finau with us. And for people that don't understand how athletically inclined his family is, he has cousins, Haloti Ngata and Sonoe Pua, that both played in the NFL, and Jabari Parker is also your cousin. So this is a really good athletic family that can do a lot of things very well. Tony, not only did you able to play and you were able to do well, but the fact that you now finished tied for 10th, which means you're going back already. You have an automatic invite to the Masters. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means everything. One thing I learned in this game is, nothing's guaranteed. As much as I wanted to think that I'd play my way back to the Masters, you just never know in sports and in life. You try to take advantage of the opportunities that you have and the opportunity at hand. So, going into Sunday, I knew I wasn't going to win, but I knew I had a great opportunity to write me a ticket back to the Masters. The top 12 comes back. I was in 15th place going into Sunday. So I knew I had to put together a good round. A lot of good players on that leaderboard that I needed to pass. So, to finish the way I did and to lock up a spot for next year's Masters is huge. Is a huge accomplishment for me and in my career. Again, this is my first one, and to know that I'm going back for my second already and locking that up at this year's Masters is really everything to me in my career right now.
Well, it was a great story, and way to show guys like Golic that golfers can suck it up and tough it up too. So, and we know you're we know you're rehabbing with the Utah Jazz, and you're at their medical staff and training center. So we wish you all the best in getting rested and ready again.
No, thanks. Appreciate it. We'll make Golic a fan. He just needs to keep following golf.
There you go. We got it. I'm going to drag him to the course and make him love it the way I love it. Tony, best of luck with the rehab. Tony. We look forward to seeing you out in a couple of weeks back on tour.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Golic and Wingo.
Let's not expect too much. There's only one person out there that's expecting way too much out of this guy too early. We know who that is. It's his father.
We're lucky enough to have guys in the studio like McDreamy. ESPN NFL draft expert Todd McShay will join us and does join us in studio, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. How are we feeling, big boy?
Feel good.
How's the eyesight right now?
Not good.
A little bleary?
Not good at all.
A lot of tape watching, a lot of computer looking?
Sent it to the printer yesterday. All done.
Finished?
Done.
Finished?
What kind of feeling does that have to be?
367 evaluations later. Done.
Wow, that's got to be got through that hurdle, right?
It'd be a good feeling.
Slept well last night.
Except if you ever have it on the computer and you'd accidentally delete it or something.
Don't even wish that on it.
I thought about it.
Yeah, 367. Okay, before we get into anything, we'll do what's trending in a second. 367, which is maybe the one player that you're most intrigued about on any level, not just for the one player like, wow, this is a really interesting dude. Is there one guy?
I think DJ Chark from LSU.
Yes.
Really interesting guy because we've talked so much about Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore from Maryland and some of the other receivers more well known. Chark had no one to throw him the football.
Correct.
And he shows up at the Senior Bowl and has a huge week. He runs in the 4.3s at just about 6'3", over 200 pounds. And he's just a good football player who's been lost in the shuffle because he didn't get enough opportunities. But he averaged, I think it was like 17 yards per catch. You got to work with him a little bit, but I think in the right scheme, let him get vertical. He's got a chance as a second-round pick to come in and be a vertical impact player.
Where is the spot in the draft where you go from, I need to get in a position to get that player,
right, to,
let's see where I can steal this player. Let's see how far I can let him drop before I have to take him.
I think there are, I'm looking right now, I would say about 19 to 20 legitimate, true first-round draft prospects in this class. So it obviously depends on kind of what you're looking for.
Right.
But I think what's going to happen is if we have the 4 quarterbacks go in the top 12, then you see a couple guys like a Derwin James from Florida State.
Yes.
Or a Minka
play every position on defense.
Right. He can legitimately play 5-6 different positions for you on the defensive side. Minka Fitzpatrick, very similar in his versatility as a safety, a little bit more of a corner safety, whereas Derwin's a little bit more of an in-the-box guy. But I think players like that, and then the linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds, Roquan Smith, Rashaan Evans from Alabama, these are guys that are going to wind up going, that should be, Smith should be a top 7-8 pick, and he may get pushed down a little bit. I think Tremaine Edmonds could wind up at 13 or 14, and he's probably one of the best 10 players in this draft, and Evans could wind up around 20, and he's probably one of the 15 best players in this draft.
So for those, I've been seeing a lot of tweets when people start talking about Derwin James and saying and how well we're talking about him, how versatile he is. I have people asking me, what's the difference of him and Jabril Peppers, who went into the draft, we were like, well, this guy doesn't have a position. He had his first year in Cleveland. Wasn't a great year. And You're still trying to kind of figure out. People are saying, well, what's different about this guy who seems to be able to do all the positions? Jack of all trades, master of none.
He's more athletic, and he's more explosive. I
would say he has mastered some of those things. I mean, Jabril was sort of an athlete that was sort of around there, but wouldn't you agree that, Derwin can play those positions and has shown he can play them at a very high level?
Yeah, Peppers was tough. I remember I watched more tape on Jabril Peppers than any other player last year's draft because I covered 5 of Michigan's games and I saw him make big plays, rushing off the edge. You see him return balls for touchdowns, have big plays in the return game. But then you put on the tape and you say, okay, what is he? What does he really do? And he's near the line of scrimmage. He's not all that physical or strong in the box. He's not going to be an edge rusher in the NFL. He's not going to be able to kind of dip around guys. So I thought after last year's draft, I gave him a second-round pick after thinking he was a top 10 pick, just watching the games live and watching him on TV. Whereas Derwin, to me, gives you so many more possibilities with his explosiveness. And I think, too, when you look at his freshman year, he was one of the best players in the country. Yep. He gets injured in 2016. 2017, he comes back. He's still not 100%, and FSU just crumbles. And so this guy for the last 2 years just hasn't been himself. I think you're going to wind up getting the 2015 version, and it's a guy who now has gone through a few seasons and has matured physically. I think he's got a chance to be special, and it won't surprise me at all if he winds up going ahead of Minka Fitzpatrick on draft night.
Well, Jalen Ramsey is former teammate at Florida State, just says, look, he's the best guy in the draft. There's no question about it.
He's the dude. I mean, he is your alpha guy.
Right. Correct.
And sets the tone in the locker room. You're getting an instant leader.
Todd McShay with us, of course, as we're breaking down the draft, the First Draft podcast with new episodes weekly on the ESPN app and the Apple podcast. One of the things I love about the draft, I'm just going to throw some of this out there. We're going to talk about a tackling machine who's also a turkey farmer and a Nordic Fest dancer. We're going to talk about a guard who may go very high, who was also a number 1 tennis player. We got a defensive end who plays 9 instruments.
Story time's already building up.
We got a lot of really good stuff.
Uncle Wingo.
We got some really good
smoking
stuff.
Jacket on.
But to your point about DJ Chark, by the way, very hard to say J and Ch together. Yeah. DJ Chark averaged just under 22 yards per catch this season. Best in FBS among guys to have at least 35 catches. So he is a big play waiting to happen. You're right. The quarterback was the issue with him. Speaking of quarterbacks, we have your grade A draft. And again, the idea of the grade A draft is you would give every team an A if they drafted this player, right?
Right.
Okay.
In theory, yeah. I'm choosing for all 32 teams. It's a Kuiper stunt. Yes. He just can't do enough of these mock drafts.
Yes.
So we're up to 8 of them a year.
Yes, and he's got his top 100 projection, which is sort of the same thing. So it's basically the same thing. And what we've got that I noticed right away is while you have discrepancy at the top of the draft, you both have Josh Rosen now going 3rd overall to the Jets. What made you think that was the right move?
It's interesting. I think, first of all, the closer we get to the draft, the more buzz I'm hearing about Cleveland liking Josh Allen. But I also don't know where that information's coming from. Can you believe it? Because everyone,
we're in the lying season.
Yeah, we're in lying season, and everyone says that John Dorsey, everyone who's worked with him, says he locks himself basically in a bunker, and not many people in that organization are going to know until very close to the draft what they actually are going to do. But if the history you look at history, from Favre to Mahomes, he really likes big hand, strong arm guys, and guys that in weather, Green Bay, Kansas City, now Cleveland, that can handle it and can throw the ball vertically and are big arm guys. So Allen would make sense when you compare him to Darnold. He's clearly has more raw arm strength and has bigger hands, and it just kind of fits that mold a little bit more. I like Darnold personally. A lot of people like Allen. A lot of people like Baker Mayfield as the number 1 quarterback, and some people like Josh Rosen. So it's kind of the fun part of it. Mm-hmm. I can talk to a friend in the league tonight, and he'll say Allen, and then talk to another friend that I respect, and he'll say Rosen, and then Darnold, and so on and so forth. So anyway, to get back to your point, I went Darnold 1. In this case, I just think Rosen fits the Jets what they're looking for, but it certainly could be Allen. And if it is Allen 1, I hear that the Giants could possibly go Sam Darnold number 2 with that pick. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, they could go 1, 2, 3, or all of a sudden we could have a case where Darnold or Allen goes 1, Darnold or Allen or Rosen goes 3, but then Cleveland's not going to take a quarterback at 4. Denver could pass on quarterback, and then now you're sitting there at 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 all have quarterbacks in Indianapolis, Tampa Bay, Chicago, San Fran, Oakland. When is Buffalo in that scenario going to pull the trigger? When is Miami going to try to pull the trigger? They're in the same division. It's really interesting with 3 teams in the AFC East all looking to get quarterbacks potentially this year. Where's the movement going to come? The Jets are already the first to make the move in the poker game.
Yeah, you're right. If it gets by Denver at 5 without a quarterback, then it is going to, unless those teams move up to it. You seem to, in your draft, and it's more the philosophical way of what the Giants are going to do. Quarterback of the future, or defense, you think if it's defense, it's Chubb, the pass rusher?
I would think so. And I'm just going off of kind of history and experience of it. To me, the most important position outside of quarterback now is pass rusher. I mean, look at the teams who have had success recently, whether it's Denver, the Giants when they had all those defensive line.
Package,
you could even go back to the Ravens of old, but even recently Atlanta gets to the Super Bowl, and because they probably ran out of them, they didn't win the Super Bowl. But Philadelphia, the defensive front they've gotten, Jacksonville Jaguars with Blake Bortles at quarterback is still playing in an AFC championship game because they are loaded in terms of pass rushers and that defense. So to me, when you have a draft with one legitimate stud at defensive end and a guy who's ready, this isn't a Jadeveon Clowney, explosive athlete who needs work. This isn't a Myles Garrett. This is a guy who has very good tools, but also is polished, he's ready to play, and he loves the game.
Oh, look, he's interesting on a lot of levels. And I with you. I think Denver, as we're talking with Todd McShay here, NFL draft expert, brought to you by ZipRecruiter, by the way. Smartest way to hire and the smartest way to figure out the draft is to listen to Todd and Mel as we break this stuff down. Look, the idea of Denver taking a quarterback, I think, would just suggest that John Elway doesn't have a plan when it comes to quarterbacks. I mean, I understand they want to get something long-term for the future, but you just signed Case Keenum, who's only 30 years old. You have to believe he's got 2 or 3 more years left in you. And if you're looking at that team as it's presently constructed, they still have a chance in their championship window to win now, to get back there. And if they could get a guy like Bradley Chubb to go off the upside of Von Miller,
I think if Chubb's there at 5,
they have to take him.
I'd run in the card if I was Denver. And here's the other thing I was thinking about too. If you're Denver and you're sitting at 5, everyone's kind of waiting to see on Denver. They're the team in the top 5 that we're not sure of. Well, I guess the Giants are too. But at 5, like I said, from 6 to 10, no team's taking a quarterback. What if you're Denver and you say, you know what? Chubb went number 2. A couple quarterbacks are off the board. We liked one guy, but he's gone. Let's try to move back. Let's open up the bidding to Miami and to Buffalo and to maybe Arizona at 15, the Ravens at 16, the Chargers at 17. Hey, we're open for business. Maybe 5 becomes the spot. Denver moves back. They have offensive line needs. They could use upgrade at cornerback, pass rusher. So to me, Denver's an intriguing team. If they've decided internally, we don't need a quarterback, that could be a spot where you see one of those teams go up and get their guy if he's still available.
So Rob, sorry, real quick, let me ask you this. If you're trying to construct the team that you think can get Denver back to compete for in the AFC Championship game, what would be more important, getting a guy like Bradley Chubb or maybe even going a guy like Quentin Nelson? You mentioned that line. You put Garrett Bowles and Quentin Nelson next to each other on one side of the ball, solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, it does. But what if I'm now picking at 12 and 22 because I made a deal with Buffalo.
Right.
And now I can get Will Hernandez, who's not quite as good as Nelson,
but he's
a darn good offensive lineman.
Showed out at the combine.
Plug and play starter. He was awesome, and he was awesome at the Senior Bowl too. And then at 22, go get a cornerback like a Josh Jackson or a Mike Hughes from Central Florida.
Ooh, Mike Hughes.
Now we've taken care of 2 needs with that 1 pick. Granted, he's not Nelson, but am I losing that much at the guard position? I don't know. I just think it would be an interesting move given their needs.
This is where, again, it comes down to grades. And if Hernandez's grade is close to Nelson, you think, okay, I'm not
Let's
losing much. I'm going to go do it. Interesting. At quarterback position, obviously, takes the headliner here. Very interesting. Your first round, you have 4. The 4 that are up there: Darnold, Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. You have going 29 to Jacksonville. You don't have the 5th quarterback, Mason Rudolph, going until the 3rd round to Arizona.
I've got 5 in the first and then the 6th, right? Yeah, with
5 in the first round with Darnold,
Rosen,
5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 5,
Yep.
and then 6 Mason Rudolph. Very interesting who you have after that, going to the New England Patriots. In the 3rd round?
First Spider quarterback drafted since 1975.
Go ahead and explain it to some people out there who this guy is.
Richmond Spider would be the first Spider quarterback drafted since 1975.
What makes him available there and why?
Just real quickly for people that don't know, Todd McShay was also a Richmond Spider quarterback. So.
And this guy's a little bit better. He actually... I watched his tape. I liked him. He went to the Senior Bowl, and I thought he picked things up the quickest. He's really fast eyes. He does not have a big arm, but he's a guy that would make sense for New England because he would be great in the quarterback room. He really is intelligent. He understands the game. He's really a winner. I mean, he brought them to the FCS playoffs twice and was a tough guy who hung in through injury and did all the little things that you ask from the quarterback position. So I think he's probably the 7th or 8th best quarterback in this class. I think he has a legitimate chance just because quarterbacks get bumped up to go somewhere in the late 2nd, early 3rd range.
Well, not only that, but it's interesting you mentioned his name, and I can understand why you would, but you're doing it as an evaluation. We had Bill Polian on at the Combine. At the very end, I threw him one question. I said, Bill, give me the name of one player that really stood out from this Combine more than anyone else. And he said Kyle Lauletta.
Really?
So you're not the only one who's gone down that road. And why it would make sense? Yeah. Why it would make sense for him to go to New England? He's huge into lacrosse. In fact, he is.
I got a better one for you.
Okay.
His dad and his uncle played football at Navy.
Yes, where Bill Belichick's father was a coach.
It all comes together.
It all makes sense.
So there's no way he'll be at New England.
Exactly.
No
but some of the guys were saying, hey, because some scouts from New England came down to look at him. They said, tell him you're into lacrosse and you're in. They are absolutely in. So of all these quarterbacks, I know you think Darnold is the most complete, but they all have warts in one way, shape, or form. Which one of all the warts concerns you the most? And we're talking about the 5 that are always talked about potentially going in the first round here.
I think with Allen, the thing that concerns me the most, Josh Allen, the Wyoming quarterback, his tools are undeniable. He is, and he's got the toughness you look for, the character, all those things. I worry about him processing information, and it's something
more than the accuracy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But listen, he could be fine. He could, if in Cleveland, if they coach him well with Zampese there and they get him to know where he's going with the football and work it out of him, then he'll be fine. But there's some things on tape that I keep going back to and I look and I just wonder, getting stuck on his first read. Defense shows something different than as they will in the NFL more and more. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm not saying it's that's this massive negative that drop him. I'm going to drop him down the 2nd round or anything crazy like that. I'm just saying if he's going to fail, my guess is it would be part of that.
Listen, I agree. He was nowhere near my top guy, but everybody's mesmerized. He looks the part. He looks the part, but between accuracy and reading issues, I could not agree more on that. Okay, first round ends. Everybody in the first round, after 5 years, there's a guy that's made at least 2 Pro Bowls. Who is it?
Any player, any position.
Any player in any position,
I know where you're going.
5 years, guys at least in 2 Pro Bowls.
I mean, everyone's going to say Chubb or Saquon Barkley. I'm going to go with Roquan Smith. I think this dude's special.
Look,
I really do.
We saw him at the college football playoff in both the semifinal and the championship game. He was all over the field.
He was, and he didn't play. He didn't play well in the first half of the Rose Bowl.
Well, nobody did for Georgia.
But he came out in the second half. He was the best football player on that field.
Absolutely.
I know everybody's going to say I'm a homer, but let's remember another guy who came out of a certain school and played guard and went to Pro Bowls all in his first few years. A guy named Zach Martin.
Yep.
Quentin Nelson.
Well. Yeah.
Quentin Nelson has the possibility.
You were basically
to
wanting him to say Quentin Nelson.
I thought
right?
you might go that way, but that's okay.
I have a hard time finding a negative in his game.
Yeah.
I really do.
What, Nelson?
Yeah.
He has the best tape of anybody.
Yeah.
And he won't be able to do that
at
the next level.
But it is
I mean,
tape.
if you just want someone to watch tape, if you like total human dominance and want to see people just abuse other humans, put in a tape.
So there are going to be a lot of guys that he played against come draft day that are going to shield their eyes, because one thing you don't want to be on is somebody's draft day tape.
Yeah.
You know, when you guys are talking about
that poor safety that comes blitzing off the backside and he picks him up,
or the end tackle stunt. We just
slammed. Was that McIntosh from Miami?
Yeah, that was just
or the tape of Marcus Davenport where that poor running back tries to stand him up and he just tosses him aside.
He's
another interesting guy. The kid out of UTSA,
raw,
also very raw.
He's the second best pass rusher in this class. A lot like Ezekiel Ansah coming out of BYU, and we've seen what he can do with Detroit when he's healthy. I think this he may hit a couple bumps in the road his first year and a half, but I think if he picks it up and gets it, he's got a chance to be a really dominant player.
So there's always incredible stories, but then when it comes down to the NFL and coaches and picks, it all kind of, okay, you have to settle down from the story and say, okay, where is this guy really going to go? Shaq Griffin.
Right.
Has the 4.3 and the combine, the pro day. Everybody is mesmerized by what he does. How much did that help him? I see in the first 3 rounds, if I'm reading correctly, you don't have him in there.
Right.
So
he was on the kind of the short list after that. I think first. I mean, the story's unbelievable. We know that.
It absolutely is.
And even recently, I mean, he gets invited and accepts the invitation to go to the draft.
Yep.
Mom is just absolutely bawling when Gil Brandt calls. It was a really good story in the Monday Morning Quarterback from Peter King, and I can't even imagine having to amputate your son's hand and go through all that. All right, long short, I think he's a lock to be a really good special teams player.
Agreed.
I think every time we say he can't do something, everywhere he goes, he overcomes it. But I do know that guys in the league are looking at this. This isn't about a good story. This is about what can he provide us? What value does he have? I think there's concern, where do we play him? Until you see him against NFL offensive tackles with the limitations he has, and it's not just the hand, it's size. Mm-hmm. Be able to get off of blocks where guys know what he wants to do and can get there a lot quicker and more successfully. I think there's concern that he's just not going to have that element of his game, which is a big element of his game, but he still can cover, he still can run, and I still think you use him in sub packages, nickel, dime as a kind of a linebacker that also can cover, and occasionally you rush him off the edge and see what he can do.
Him, yeah.
Right.
Yep. I'll say this though. I mean, you're right. So you're thinking day 2 or day 3?
I'm thinking possibility late day 2, but more likely early day 3.
I mean, the one thing that Deion Jones has done, the linebacker that came out of LSU and played really well for Atlanta, he's proven undersized, fast linebackers can succeed in the NFL. Now, granted, he has full use of both of his hands as opposed to Shaquem Griffin, but Shaquem was so much faster than Deion Jones at that 40 time. And the other thing about it, I know his limitations. He's one of only 4 players in FBS who over the last 2 seasons combined had double-digit sacks and double-digit pass breakups.
They only started teaching him how to rush the quarterback prior to this past season.
Natural. A lot of natural ability.
Double-digit sacks, and they literally hadn't worked with him at all at UCF, and they just said, go ahead, go rush.
He's been productive. It'll be very curious to see where he goes and what team he goes to. Todd, you're the best, brother.
Thanks,
367 evaluations in the book.
All done.
And we still got
I'll
more
light it on fire in about 3 weeks.
By the way, Roquan Smith could probably win a GOB. He has traveled all over the world. He's been everywhere. He can tell you about state capitals, nation capitals, all that kind of stuff. Just want to throw that out there.
Of course you did.
Todd McShay.
Here we go.
Great Todd McShay.
Golic
Makes me want to vomit and then punch you square in the face.
and Wingo.
Oh, he's saucy today. That's why Son of Bum is one of my favorite follows on Twitter.
My favorite as well. It was one of my coach of mine.
And somehow he survived coaching you and still have a stellar career in the NFL. Wade Phillips, defensive coordinator for the Rams, joins us. Good morning, Wade. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, you're right about surviving Golic, but
I think, Coach, it's a fair question. All the great defensive linemen that you coach, and we'll get into of just kind of where I rank in all of that.
Okay.
All right,
that's the best non-answer. That's the best non-answer of an answer we've ever had on this show, Wade.
Oh, that's
You're
awesome.
winning.
There you go. Well, I don't know if I can be truthful about everything.
No, some things a little white lie would work out very well.
That's
yeah.
right.
So you've got that. Listen, it's not like it wasn't an excellent defensive line last year there, but you do lose Quinn, but you add obviously Sue. Brockers is a guy that I've loved watching for years. Obviously, Aaron Donald is what he is. So just kind of take us through the making of this D line now with Ndamukong Suh and what he's going to add to the line.
Well, he's a outstanding player, obviously, and like you said, with Brockers and Aaron Donald, you've got a big three there. You got three dominant players that we think can help us in the run and the pass. So if you're strong up front, that's the first thing. It's like baseball being strong up the middle. Well, football, if you're strong up front with the D line, you're on your way.
Well, you certainly are, and it was that D-line when you were the D coordinator for Denver that carried that team to the Super Bowl championship and Super Bowl 50. Wade Phillips with us. Wade, I always thought it was funny when people are like, what's the pitch for the Rams? How are they going to get Ndamukong Suh to sign with the Rams? I always said, take him into the locker room and show him Aaron Donald's locker and say, this is the guy you'll be lining up against. Let me explain how well that will work out for you in this 2018 season. Seemed to me that was really all you needed to do.
Well, I think, you'd have to ask him, but I think that's certainly a part of it that, you realize that, hey, not everybody's looking at you every play. They got to worry about the other guys. So on the other side, it gives you a chance to be some one-on-ones, which he hadn't seen a lot of.
In a legitimate comparison now, not joking around about me anymore, you did coach a great that was on the D-line with us in Philadelphia, and that was the late, great Jerome Brown, who had that quickness and great hand play like Aaron Donald has right now. Is what would be the comparison in your mind between these two players?
Oh, wow. Well, Aaron's on his way certainly to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I think the guy's, he's a dumb. I was lucky to have the guys I had. Obviously, Reggie was with that group, Bruce Smith after that, but and J.J. Watt lately, and Von Miller and on. But he's got unique talent that you just don't find, every maybe 10 years. So Aaron's a special player, and he's great. Like all those guys I talked about, and Jerome. He works hard and he plays hard.
Well, there's no question about that. As Wade Phillips, the Rams defensive coordinator, with us on Golic and Wingo this morning. And Wade, there was that video that showed up not too long ago of Aaron Donald working out with a guy that was holding two knives. Obviously, those were rubber knives; they weren't real knives. But what I thought was most interesting about that video of him working out, that the guy was holding the knives had the pads on him, not Aaron Donald. I mean, that's what it's like to be hit by Aaron Donald. The guy holding the knives had to have the pads while Aaron was going full throttle.
Yeah, that's he's a worker. He's an all-season worker, not only during the season, but even in all season, he's working on something. And I feel comfortable now if somebody comes out with two knives during the game that he's going to do a good job against them.
Talking to Wade Phillips, D coordinator for the Rams. Also, we've been talking about the line, but in the secondary, Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, a couple of excellent corners who certainly have had some issues as well on and off the field. But talk about their additions and how that helps, all coinciding from the D-line to linebackers to secondary with those guys.
Well, both these guys are what I call number one corners, and you like to have one on the team, but now we've got two, so that's an important step. They can play zone, they can play man to man, and they can intercept the ball, and both of them, Talib especially, in his career has not only intercepted but scored touchdowns. So scored points on defense. So, you know, you were with Buddy. I mean, that's all we talked about on defense was trying to score on defense. So these guys can do it.
Well, we've certainly seen that from Aqib Talib over the years. And again, people would say that he's one of the more combustible guys out there. You have Marcus Peters in there as well. How are you going to keep them at a fever pitch without having them go too far with the emotional meter?
Yeah, I mean, they're so passionate. You know that about them. But they're grown men. We talk to them and say, hey, you know, this is what we expect, and this is our standard. Sean does a tremendous job of that with the team overall, and then defensively we follow up by reinforcing those things, and you know it's still individuals. You know, I mean, you coach them and you talk to them, and you know I feel like that they respect what I say and we'll try to work in the right direction.
Well, one thing that'll help you is that Michael Crabtree's no longer in your division, so he's not going to be yanking the chain off Crabtree one more time. And you guys don't play the Ravens this year.
There you go.
So you got that not to worry about.
Okay.
Hey, Wade, as far as the social media, you know, I mean, you're 70-year-old and you've jumped into the social media world and Twitter world just like the millennials. What was there a conscious decision to say, you know what, I'm just going to have some fun with this?
Well, you know, I did it when I was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So it was kind of coming out there, and I thought it was fun because of the fans. You know, we're on Twitter, and you just kind of want to have fun with them and put out some things. And I was surprised that people would follow me, but but some of them have, and you know, it's just fun for me. I enjoy it, and you like to, you know, let them keep up with the team, kind of, and then I try to do it in kind of a fun sort of way.
Well, here's why people follow you, Wade. I mean, obviously you're from Texas. Your dad was a longtime coach of the Houston Oilers, and when the Dodgers and Astros were playing, you put a picture, a caricature of you in a bee costume, saying, why can't I be for both teams, Houston and L.A.? That's why people are following you on Twitter, because you're willing to go there. One of the things that I really love, though, about the dynamic with you right now in L.A. is the fact that you're one of the older coaches in the league, dealing with the youngest head coach we've ever seen in Sean McVay. How is that dynamic working with the two of you?
No, it's great. I mean, he's a tremendous head coach. I mean, he's proven it already. He's taken a team that, you know, didn't win many games the year before or even several years before and taken them to the playoffs the first year and won 11 games. So, and I'm awed by how the team has responded to him. I mean, he's just he's set a culture here really quickly, and they know what he wants. He's clear in everything he does. It's a clear and constant message, and you know exactly what to do and really what it takes. And I can't be more impressed with the head coach. And I've been with a lot of great head coaches.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time this morning and enjoy those nice, shiny new toys that you have to play with this year and what looks like a team that is really, really on the rise. So best of luck, and we'll talk to you during the season.
Yeah, if we just had a Golic, we that might be the cherry on top.
Can't have everything, Coach. Sorry, you know what I mean? It's got to live without it.
He'll come there to cut the tape off Aaron Donald after every game. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
This has been the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast. You can listen or subscribe on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or just ask your smart speaker to play Golic and Wingo. Plus, you can check the guys out live weekday mornings from 6 to 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.